Right, I'm going to run you through how I would go about putting a small event budget together. Now, one of the first things that I like to do is to put all my ideas into a Word document before I start trying to translate that across into a financial budget. So here is my Word document where I have actually put down all my ideas about the logistics for the event, the costings that the venue have given me, the capacity limits, the format that I think that might take, session format for instance, and what kind of reimbursements I'm thinking about covering. Now, at any stage in this recording, please feel free to pause the recording and take things at your own time and refer back to it as you are putting perhaps a budget together. And this is one of those stages I would recommend that you perhaps pause this recording and take a couple of minutes to read the details that I've put together before we move on. Now, once I have put my plan together, I would start translating that over to a budget. So here we have the template budget that has been provided by head office. This is available within the SIG coordinator's drive, and we also have it at head office and it can be sent out if you can't access it. You do not have to use this budget format if you don't want to. But it might help you thinking about some of the headings that perhaps you might need to give consideration to. You can also adapt this to your own requirements, so feel free to change things. And you'll see as we go through this today that we will add in some extra bits. Now, the first thing that I do is I put in all the costs that I know about, and I start with fixed costs. So I know through negotiation with the venue that my rooms, I'm having 2 rooms, for the 2 days it's going to be £300 per room. The AV is included within the venue, so I'm not going to need any additional venue AV costs, but I do want to hire a couple of flip charts. That hasn't copied down, for instance, here. So what we're going to do is within this cell, we have a sum. We're just going to copy that down into that one. Perfect. And I think I might just put a little note here to head office so they know what I'm going to be hiring there. So let's just put a little note down here, fine. And let's just say 2 flip charts. If you have a UK-based event, and as long as you put ITEFL before your SIG's name, our insurance will cover that event. If you are holding an overseas event, however, we need to get insurance for that specific event. If you don't do that yourselves, please contact head office and we can try and arrange that for you. In this instance, it is an ITEFL SIG event and it's in the UK, so we don't need any additional insurance. The on-site first aid, security, stewarding costs and cleaning costs are all covered by the venue, so we don't need anything there. And the coffee breaks are included within the price for the venue as well, so we don't need any additional coffee break prices. I want to offer my delegates a lunch, and the venue's told me that a buffet lunch is going to be £10, so let's put in £10 there. Evening meals, well, they can sort themselves out and make their own arrangements, but I did want to have an evening reception. That's going to cost me £20 per person. Scrolling down, I would at this stage just put in any other costs that I know about. Now, I know that I was going to offer my speakers £50 speaker fee, and I was offering my plenary speakers £150. Now, I haven't got plenary on here, so let's add some cells in and copy these down. Okay, and let's just change this. Speaker expenses. Okay, and let's change that to £150. Now, I know that I was going to have 2 plenary speakers, and I'm planning on having 8 normal speakers. I haven't got any head office attending this time, but I have got 2 of my who are also the organisers. So I am going to change this heading now to committee. Sorry, let's just delete that bit. Committee stroke organiser expenses. Okay. I'm going to go back up now. And I'm going to give some thought to what I'm going to charge for this event. Now, I know that I've got some fixed costs already. And per head, I've got to pay £10 for a lunch. I've got to pay £20 for an evening reception. So we're already up to £40. So 2 lots of lunches and an evening reception. I know as well that my capacity is 100. And typically I haven't really, had any more than that attending my events. So I think that's quite a good number. So I look at perhaps my history and I might decide that I'm going for a breakdown of the following. This is based on previous events and what I think I might be able to attract. I've got 8 speakers coming, 2 plenaries and 2 committee organisers. But on top of that, there might be 4 other committee members that I know about that might be attending this, and I've said that I'm going to waiver those fees. So let's just change that to 6. So these are all 0. I'm not going to charge for them. So what's a good price for these? Well, let's just start. I want to attract ITEFL members. So perhaps this sort of price structure might work. And I think for a 2-day event, I think that people might be interested in that. Okay, so now I've got 91 attendees and I'm generating £7,500 worth of income from fees. Now I've also know that I'm planning on offering a sponsorship for this delegate bags. They've got to provide the delegate bags, but I'm going to charge them £500 for the privilege of doing so at my event. So I've got income of £8,000 now. So let's go back to, now I know how many attendees I'm expecting to attract. Let's go back down to the variable costs of this event. And you can see that these cells on the left have all just picked up from the attendees. So we have now got some costs for those items. We've also got here badges, we've got the lanyards, we've got certificates. And yes, I'm thinking I want all of those to be provided by head office. So I'm happy that all of those costs are now cross-cast into that budget. Postage and shipping costs. Well, I've got some marketing material that I need to get to the venue, and I've done a couple of quotes and I've spoken to head office, and I think that that's going to cost me about £40 to get that to the venue. Scrolling down a bit further, printing. Well, now I want to have a programme there and I want it to be a few pages long. So let's say 3 double-sided, so that's 273 pages long. Okay, so that's given me a cost there. Now going down to my speaker expenses. Now I've got 8 coming. And I'm not quite sure where they're coming from yet because we haven't put the call out. So let's give an average of £300 there. Accommodation, well the venue's told me that it costs £80 for accommodation at the venue. They're able to do that for me. But I'm going to need 2 nights for each speaker. So we're going to have to put in 16. Lunches are included. We've already done that above. And evening meals. Well, if they're staying 2 nights and there's 8 of them, again, I'm going to put 16 in there. And I TEFL limits are £20. So I've got all my costs in there. Okay, moving down now to plenary speakers. I've got 2. One of them is coming from the UK and one of them is coming from Mexico. So I'm not quite sure about the breakdown, but let's put in here £450 maximum. I don't think it's really going to be that much, and what you could do is perhaps some detailed listings of that, breaking down into flight costs and train costs. But for the moment, let's put in a rough estimate of being maybe £150 for the UK-based speaker, and perhaps £400 for flight and some additional travelling costs for the other speaker. Accommodation, again, £80. And there's 2 of them, they're staying 2 nights, let's put in 4. Then lunches are included, and evening meals, again there's 2 of them, 2 nights, so that's 4, at £20 is our limits. And then we've got 2 of our committee members. They're local, they've only got a train fare to cover. Let's say, for instance, they are going to have a £50 train fare. Again, 2 of them, 2 nights, so that's a total of 4 nights at £80 for their accommodation. Lunch is included, and again, 2 of them for 2 nights, so that's 4 meals at £20. Now you can see from our budget, we're making a loss already. And so I now need to start thinking about where I can save some money. Now, you've got 2 choices here. You can either increase your fees, or you can start thinking about the things that you perhaps don't need to spend money on. And I would suggest one of those is possibly this evening reception. So, do we really need to have an evening reception? Well, let's for the moment decide we want to keep our fees as low as possible, so we're just going to get rid of this. We might scroll down now and think, right, okay, I'm nearly there, nearly breaking even. But ideally, I'd still like to make a profit on this event. So what other things could I perhaps give some more thought to? I would give a little bit more thought perhaps to my plenary speaker fees. So we've got one coming from Mexico. I'm thinking £300 for the flight. Let's say £400 for the flight, absolute maximum. Perhaps £50 internal, and perhaps £100 on a train fare in the UK. And let's say perhaps the one from the UK, well, they're fairly local, they're based in the UK, and let's say £125 for their train fare. Quickly now. At this stage, I'm going to leave it here. But if I was now completing this budget, I would start considering whether I needed to cover perhaps all of my travel accommodation fees for my speakers, or whether I actually needed to offer them a speaker fee. And again, you can see that those kind of costs would reduce it. So for instance, if we actually removed that, you're now getting into a profit position. You may decide that you're going to put a cap on perhaps their travel costs, and you're going to say that they can each claim just £100. We're now making a reasonable profit. You can see the thought processes that we need to go through when we're putting the budget together. But essentially, this is how you are putting the budget together. You are looking for a decent sort of profit at the bottom, so that if you don't get the number of attendees that you thought you might, that you still will generally make a little bit of money. I hope that's been helpful, and if you do need any further assistance, please feel free to get in touch.